So as of chapter 48 for 100 Years Quest, Nebel's been defeated. We know from the chapter before that his guild had pretty much ditched him. They're just gonna say like that he kind of went off and died, and he just went berserk and became too much of a problem and whatnot. But here's where I kind of want to look at the character right now, because we have a lot of interesting stuff moving forward. Diablos is no longer in the in the picture for the Dursil event. In that city with Alderaan and the White Witch. The White Witch is now getting pretty mad and whatnot. So she's getting a little bit more serious. We know Diablos. Next time we see them, we're gonna return with these Black Dragon Knights, and now Irene, very oddly enough, as a sort of existent, non-existent. It's not her soul, it's her personality. It's a very weird kind of thing that it's being put in there. I imagine if she comes back, she might have like her normal power, maybe, or maybe it'll just be like her knowledge, but her magic will be very limited. Either way, as it is right now, the one thing that I want to really look at is Nebal. So Nebal, as a character, I always really liked the weirdness of him. He has a very strange design. His very like weird way he talks. He doesn't seem the smartest kind of guy. But I like that he was pretty like on point of getting the job done before he indulged himself in what he wanted to do. But also he's got like a pretty fun magic, and I like the whole sticky dragon slayer thing. I just think it's neat. But the question is, where is his character going to go from here? Because he's been defeated. Right now his magic got pretty much zeroed out. It's going to take him a while to recover, and his guild ditched him. I personally think that he's going to end up joining the Fairy Tale Guild. And now, I've talked to some people about this already. They think, it would make more sense for Brandish to join if we're going to get a new member. I don't agree. Because the thing with Brandish is Brandish, throughout the entire Albreath arc, stayed loyal to Albreath. She, despite a lot of people, as I was reading it during the time of normal release, people kept telling me that she was going to end up betraying Albreath and backstabbing, the Spriggan 12 and Zareth, and she never did, because at the end of the day, even though she liked Lucy and, she got along with some of the Fairy Tale Guild members, she was still loyal to Albreath. Now, with Nebal, I think it is more likely based off of two things. One, and that is a story reason, and specifically for him, and two, I would say more of a consistency in how well it fits. Now, the first one is the fact that now he is a person that can give them information on 5th generation dragon slaying magic. He can explain where it came from, how many members are in the guild, anything about the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. Like, he can just be like, oh yeah, give a description of them, say like what their dragon slaying attribute is, or any other members of Diablos that we haven't seen of, because we don't know how many other, we don't even know how many members are total. Like, that could be one of the things he gets. They have 20 members altogether or something, something that would, give a means of question and answering for Diablos, because they are very mysterious as a guild. As well as he can even give, information about Georg. But also, like I said, the origins on 5th generation dragon slaying magic, how did it came to be? I still have, the weird theory, maybe, because we never saw what happened to Acnologia's 7th arm. What if they got that, and then somehow that made its way to them, they ate it for whatever reasons, starving, they just needed food, and powered them all up, which would explain, oh yeah, they've gotten so strong so quickly over, the gap between Albreath and now, because they had a piece of, such a powerful creature like Acnologia, even if it's all spread out in chunks. But that is something in there as well. But plus we could find out information about 5th generation Dragon Force, which would be very intriguing to see how it goes. I still have a little bit of a theory as well on top of that of Natsu, Gajiel, Wendy, they're all going to need to kind of adapt to this newer version of Dragon Slaying magic in the hopes that they get rid of their whole weakness to motion sickness. Because it's a good thing to have a weak side to such a powerful magic like Dragon Slaying magic. But as it is, how far we are in the series, it would make sense for the characters to overcome that. Whether they do or do not is a question. But it would be fine this far in if they ended up overcoming, motion sickness. Now, okay, now I want to talk about why I think that Nebal will join from the standpoint of the series itself. And with Brandish still has the Empire. She still has people within the Spriggan, former members of the Spriggan 12 that she knew that she was close to, like to a degree to Maria. I mean, obviously she lost like August and whatnot, and August was like, a grandfather to her. But I mean, at the end of the day, she still has like the rest of the empire and how much probably estate she owns, and I imagine she has like a lot of a lot of wealth and whatnot for being one of the big shots of an entire continent. But the gap between her and Nebal is Nebal really has nothing now. He has nowhere to go. His guild abandoned him. He likely doesn't have like any real skills outside of what they task him with. He doesn't seem like the smartest guy. And what is probably the most consistent thing about members of Fairy Tail, and Fairy Tail a lot of the time feels like it's like a guild for wayward people with nowhere to go, orphans and whatnot. It really just lines up with him of having this guy who his guild straight ditched him. He wasn't just like, oh, I just never joined a guild. His guild abandoned him. And really, when you have like this kind of setup for a guild that is so, though, even though the Diablos members have shown, like between Mad Mulcaria and Scullion, they've shown that they have somewhat of a camaraderie and friendship between them. But like Nebal, he got ditched. It's clear that they aren't nearly as caring or close as the Fairy Tail Guild, and it would make sense of why you would have like a character like that who is a lot more animalistic, a lot more kind of like taught in this much more savage lifestyle being brought over to the Fairy Tail Guild, and kind of like learning more about like what it's like to be in a guild that actually cares about you rather than just has you as a capable unit, which would be really nice to see on top of like anything where his character instead of like Godjill, where Godjill's was more of like an arc of redemption. With Nebal, it'd be more like just like an arc of him just learning like normal aspects of like caring people in general, learning about camaraderie in general, learning about just how to exist in a not so savage kind of like setup where they're just going out trying to hunt all these dragons and dragon slayers all the time. I think also he would have like a lot of like comedic ways that he could be in putting people up in like silk cocoons and whatnot, messing with people, maybe always making jokes about eating people. I don't think he ever would after that point, but it would be comedic in a sense. So tell me what your thoughts are about Nebal joining the guild. I'm really hoping we get some more hints within the next couple chapters, like maybe after they leave Drasil, he ends up following them, or maybe he helps them fight Alderaan when things come out, go crazy. We know that he was the first one to show that for Slayers, for 5th generation Dragon Slayers rather, that they could straight eat their attribute. Because like one of the things that I was wondering is like maybe the trade-off for no motion sickness is they couldn't eat their attribute, they can only eat dragon meat. But Nebal, as he saw, could eat gum and it would power him up. Maybe he'll eat some of that and then get some of his magic back to help the Fairy Tail members fight against Alderaan and the White Witch. It's something that could exist. Plus, it would be really cool to see like later on, like maybe they get in some situation like against the Black Dragon Slayer Knights. And prior, when Nebal used his 5th generation Dragon Force, really just to kind of beat and defeat and eat Wendy, he ends up using it to protect them instead. That would be a really nice way to kind of like circle around his character if need be. And maybe even if he stays a dragon, it would be really cool just to see like how he got there. And it would be a neat dynamic to give Wendy like a kind of like a fighting partner, because like a lot of like Wendy doesn't have like a ship. So, and I'm not trying to ship Nebal and Wendy, but I think they would have like a really cool dynamic, You could really see like where that would start, and at the end of the day, when he ends up turning into like a big dragon, she could possibly undo it as long as it doesn't get too far. I don't know. Regardless of which, I'd like to hear what your guys' comments are, and I'm hoping that his character isn't just written off, because I had hopes for Wraith joining the guild, but then we got his backstory and whatnot, and he finally got to rest in peace. But now we still have Nebal, who specifically was abandoned by his guild, and I think would fit right into that Fairy Tail style of bringing these people that have nowhere to go somewhere to actually be a place to call home. But other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video. I really appreciate if you prefer the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But then I appreciate everybody's already subscribed. I thank you all for listening.